We got some breaking news in the NFL regarding Commanders wide receiver Terry McLaurin. Frustration is growing between Terry McLaurin and the Washington Commanders amid some contract talks. Yeah, I know we're going to talk about it and break it down right after this.
Welcome to your number one spot for all NFL news and content, NFL Central.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back into another episode of NFL Central, your number one spot for everything NFL. I'm your host here, Bobby, and I'm holding it down, bringing you some breaking news around the NFL, this time regarding Commanders wide receiver Terry McLaurin. My man's Terry McLaurin, he's frustrated, very, very frustrated amid the contract talks and how they have been going with the Washington Commanders. The news is coming from Jordan Schultz, NFL Insider. He pretty much said this: all pro wide receiver Terry McLaurin has made it clear to the team that he's frustrated with the lack of progress on a long-term deal. As I previously reported, that's Jordan Schultz, McLaurin unexpectedly left voluntary workouts after initially attending, and it remains to be seen whether he'll report for mandatory minicamp. McLaurin is entering the final year of his contracts, and talks have been minimal. Look, man, it is what it is. But I say, brother, if you was just gonna leave, you shouldn't have showed up in the first place. Just my personal opinion. You shouldn't even wasted your time showing up to voluntary workouts if you was gonna be ticked off. But hey, sometimes things just happen, and you say, "Hey, I'm gonna show up, show that I'm all about the squad." And if you kind of feel disrespected, I understand the aspect of leaving. But if I was going in and I was Terry McLaurin and y'all ain't trying to talk about my money, I ain't showing up at all. But that's him. Everybody move differently and they respond to these things differently. But when you talk about Terry McLaurin, this is a hell of a wide receiver number one that they was able to place next to Jaden Daniels, to where we seen he was an integral part of the Washington Commanders and what they were trying to do, man, and what they actually did this past season. And it's crazy to see that it's come to this point, but it's kind of understandable when you look at all the guys that are above Terry McLaurin when it comes to wide receivers getting paid. Look, I'm not one of those guys that believe he's the best wide receiver, but when you talk about him only making $15 million this season, I totally understand the frustration that's coming from my man's Terry McLaurin, bro. And if you look at the receiving for the team for the Washington Commanders this past season, my man's Terry McLaurin, he put up 1,000 yards, had 13 touchdowns, and my man's had 82 receptions. The next closest receiver in when it came to yards was Zach Ertz in 654 yards. So my man's damn near doubled, not doubled, but damn near doubled the damn production that the tight end put up. And no other wide receiver got over 400 yards other than, no other wide receiver went over 450 yards for the Washington Commanders this past season. That guy was Noah Brown at 453 yards. So I understand that the Washington Commanders went out there and got themselves a Deebo Samuels. I understand that they picked up guys like Michael Gallup. I understand that they went out there and drafted a guy in Jalen Lane. But those guys are not Terry McLaurin. And we just go call it what it is. Deebo Samuels, he's a hell of a player, and I think he'll be a hell of a addition to the Washington Commanders. But let's keep it a buck. He ain't getting the damn 1,000 yards that Terry McLaurin is going to go out there and get for you. Deebo Samuels will be an intricate piece for the Washington Commanders and what they're going to do and provide them with a lot of versatility. But Deebo Samuels, when it comes to route running in that production that I'm expecting to happen for this upcoming season, he ain't Terry McLaurin. So let's call it how we see it. And I think Michael Gallup is a really good addition as well. But again, they ain't Terry McLaurin. And then when you look at some of these guys who just got paid, you looking at CeeDee Lamb, who just got paid. My man's making $34 million. Jamar Chase, $40 million. DK Metcalf just re-up, $33 million. A.J. Brown, $32 million. Amon St. Brown, $30 million. Even Brandon Ayuk, $30 million. Now, I ain't saying that my mans need to be at the top of the list when it comes to this, but when you seeing guys that are getting paid really well, you got to understand that the frustration when it comes to Terry McLaurin, especially with being on that last year of his deal, he want his damn money. And I say, if you are trying to shoot for this Super Bowl within the next few seasons before you got to pay up on Jaden Daniels, get it done so you can get him out the way and then potentially, see how it all works out. And then now that he's 30 years old, you can go ahead and kind of work yourself around that a little bit to the point to where when it's time to pay Jaden Daniels, he'll be at the end of his contract. That's Terry McLaurin. And you just go ahead and wash your hands with the situation, because at that point, if it's a 4-year deal, he'll be about 34 years old with maybe 2 to 3 years left in the NFL, perhaps longer, depending on how he take care of himself. And you see how all that stuff translate and pans out for the franchise. But right now, you got an opportunity to go out there and push for a championship, and what you need is all hands on deck. Do not turn this into a situation to where you're looking like the Cincinnati Bengals and they look like they don't know what the hell they're doing. Now, I don't know what Terry McLaurin number is. He damn sure ain't getting 40 million. Sorry. You damn sure if you're Terry McLaurin, you ain't getting $40 million. That's Jamar Chase. Hell, Justin Jefferson making $35 million as an average salary. So, we going to have to cancel that one out. I can't do it. Hey, my man's Jay Capone in the building said, Bobito, my degree brother, we the brainiac for them. And oh well, boohoo, Commanders put them on goofy time. My man's Jay Capone not having it. But hey, it is what it is, brother. I'm just looking at the whole situation for what it is, though. Like when you see DK Metcalf, do we really believe DK Metcalf is that much better than Terry McLaurin? I don't. I think they in the same tier. Personally, they're in that same tier of wide receivers. And you ask me which one I want, I would take Terry McLaurin over DK Metcalf. So if you can get him within that range, that 33, maybe throw him an extra meal on there, 34 mil, I think you good to go. Because if we keeping it a buck, you don't expect to keep Deebo Samuels around for a long time. You don't expect to keep Michael Gallup around for a long time. We'll see what Jalen Lane turns into, but he's on a rookie deal and you have some time after that. So pay that man his money. So, and I understand the frustrations that come with all this simply because you still got guys on this list to where you could say he's either better than or in that range to where you look at Terry McLaurin. Now, he will make $15 million this season, but that was after they already gave him, some of that money up front. So right now it's projected as a $22 million, but the actual cash is $15 million after the bonus. So you looking at some of these other average salaries, you looking at a Calvin Ridley at $23 million, a Michael Pittman Jr. Again, none of these guys are head and the shoulders above better than my man's Terry McLaurin. Is absolutely on par and in the same tier with the Terry McLaurin. And get him the man his money. Get him the man his money. Those frustrations and these contracts, we know how they always pan out in the NFL. And we always look at these type of situations. We see them quite honestly, like often. Simply because teams be trying to wait. They want guys to play out that last year of the contract. And then we know that football is a violent sport. So guys want to go out there and re-up on their money just to have that type of security because they're going to put their bodies on the line for how many ever games that they're going to be out there. This is a relatively healthy person. I understand that could be some trepidation coming from the Washington Commanders because you've seen examples to where guys get paid and then they get injured, but you can't fault the man for wanting his money. And for the most part, he's been relatively healthy for his career, and he was a major part for your organization this past season. Again, the next wide receiver on the team to get close to him in receiving yards only got up to 453 yards. So pay the man. That's it. Hey, my man's Jacob Capone, Chicago Bears fan. My man said this is making DJ Moore a stain in Chicago lingo. You already know. It's definitely a steal because DJ Moore definitely continues to drop down the ladder of highest paid wide receivers, and I think he's a legit number one, right in that same tier with the guys like Michael Pittman Jr., right in the same tier with a Terry McLaurin. Again, you can pick and choose on who you want, but they're all in that same tier of wide receivers. Now, a lot of people going to push back towards DJ Moore simply because the quarterback play wasn't that good in Chicago the last few seasons, or it was at least a bit shaky. We going to call it how we see it, but at the end of the day, this is what it is. Hey, the Chicago Bears, they made some good moves when it came for that money over there. For sure. My man's book tuning in real quick says salute everybody. But yeah, man, I think that the Washington Commanders need to go ahead and nip this in the bud with Terry McLaurin, because those frustrations are going to continue to grow. And you are literally a game away from the Super Bowl. Literally a game away from the Super Bowl. And right now, you look around the landscape, your only challenge, in my personal opinion, if you're the Washington Commanders, if Jaden Daniels continue to ascend, is the Philadelphia Eagles. If you look in the NFC North, I don't trust Jordan Love. We still got to see what the Chicago Bears look like. The Detroit Lions, they lost a number of major pieces. The Minnesota Vikings don't know much about J.J. McCarthy. You move to the NFC South, you look at the Atlanta Falcons, and you say, all right, they improved, but are they ready? Not necessarily. You look at the Tampa Bay Bucks, Emeka Egbuka, I think it's going to be huge for them on the offensive side of the ball, but can they get it done? You might be in contention with them. Not really complaining and looking at no damn Dallas Cowboys. I feel like they'll be all right, but they're not championship bound. So you got all the opportunities right in front of you if you are the Washington Commanders. Nip this in the bud and go ahead and get right. My man Jay Capone said you don't want to have a Jimmy Butler incident. No, you don't. You don't. You don't want to have no Jimmy Butler incident. If y'all that's wondering, that's, hey, pay me my money. You know what I'm saying? For real. Because he should be excited about all these extra pieces added on to the team. But at the end of the day, the money is the money, and money talking bullshit walk. Y'all, everybody know that. Everybody know that money talk and that BS walk. Pay me my money. That's just how it go. And I'm saying, like, they got some players on this team when it comes to wide receivers, but he is head and shoulders the number one wide receiver on this team. Like, pay the man. Pay the man. So those frustrations, we're going to continue to monitor. We're going to continue to see what it is. But you definitely hope that the Washington Commanders could go ahead and nip that in the bud, simply for the sake of, you don't want this to linger into some type of other thing, and you don't want it to become a personal thing like it has become a personal thing in Cincinnati and Trey Hendrickson, because he said it's personal. It's personal. So you want to make sure you at least having some good communication with the man. And I'm saying the thing is that a lot of these teams, the way that they operate when doing business, you should know that guys are going to come to the table. You should have those discussions and try to find a common ground. Now, I don't know if Terry McLaurin representatives and, you know what I'm saying, the Commanders have a difference in opinion. Well, obviously they do, or how close or how far apart they are when it comes to the money that's being discussed. But most of these franchises, bro, you can find ways to give guys that money up front and then just try to recoup some on the back end. Or you can give yourself reassurance by, you know what I'm saying, letting them go ahead and have a little bit less up front and then filling them in on the back end. But it's about being smart with the money, or you could just simply balance it out to a good standing to where you are, and then you attack that way. Now, I understand you pick up guys like Laramie Tunsil as well, who is not a cheap left tackle. But again, you have Jaden Daniels on a rookie deal. Go for the chip. Go for the chip. Everybody's excited in Washington right now. Y'all just went up to the NFC Championship game, had a legit chance to win it. Every season is different, but you still got a good chance to go out there and win it. And then y'all hyping everybody up for a potential new stadium back on one of the historic areas that y'all is hyping up this offseason. So why not? Lock it in, push in for them that championship, and make sure everybody's on the same damn page. Because if he starts to sit out mini camp, if he goes ahead and sit out training camp, I don't necessarily think it's going to derail all your plans. But come on now, y'all. I think that could be some type of thing that affects locker rooms. We've seen examples of it, not necessarily hurting the entire locker room because guys say, you know what? I'm just going to go out there and do it for my teammates and to hell with the team. Screw them. But then at the same time, you see some of these situations affect the entire locker room, and what was once thought as being, we finna go for this championship, it turns in y'all getting y'all ass bounced in the first round or not even making the playoffs, which I don't think is going to happen. But in the NFL, anything is bound to happen. We see teams go from first to worst all the time, from worst to first all the time. And this could very well be one of those situations if they don't nip it in the bud. Tell you. But yeah, pay that man his money. That's all I'm saying, bro. That's all I'm saying. But hey, just wanted to bring y'all that quick update that's going on around the NFL. More content and everything on the way. We've been dropping more consistently just about every single day. After promising 3 days a week, we've been on the money for 5 days a week. For 5 days a week. So if you tuned in, man, and you want to tune in and hear about your favorite team, just go ahead and dive in into NFL Central, man. We bringing all the latest news and all the latest updates. We appreciate y'all over here. Make sure y'all always love football. And I'm going to catch y'all on the next one.